special guest. We've got Ross Blackley of Cushion Pouches and Doghouse 420. We've got a fantastic episode ready for you guys today, man. Big shout out to our partners. Right now, I've got the wrong partner on. Big shout out to those partners too. Let me get this. Let me get this proper one on. Fellas, our podcast network is sponsored by a variety of groups. Today's episode is brought to you guys by Extract Consultants and also Infinite Cal. For those of you guys in Michigan or in California, Infinite Cal is real big on consumer safety, and we take pride in them being our partner because they care about our safety and consumer safety above all other things, and we thank them for that. Extract Consultants is our premier terpene partner, folks. If you guys are creating a brand, infused pre-rolls, vapes, edibles, anything to do with flavors and aromas, Extract Consultants is our go-to partner for that. Now, Ross, welcome to the show, brother. You're over there in Michigan right now.
I am.
It's winter time, man, in the Midwest. And are you up there in the mitten, or where are we at?
Yeah, I'm down here, so Southeast Michigan. So I'm pretty.
Okay, so you're over there towards New Buffalo and Indiana and all that right now.
Other side. I'm on the east side. So that's the
east side. So Detroit, Chicago, all that good stuff over there. Dude, Michigan is huge, and you guys have great cannabis. It's a great market. There's affordable products. There's fire products, and you guys, Ross, have two brands. You're the sales director for two brands. Doghouse is the parent and the big boss and the ecosystem, and we're fans of them. If you guys go into the Northwest, man, the PNW, Wasp State, Oregon, thousands of people will say that Doghouse has some of the best cannabis in that area, and some of the people, which are biased, will say the best in the world, and I've heard it. Now, we'll talk about another episode, Ross, about Doghouse and Flower and the Big Boss Dogs. But today is about your guys' innovative product called Cushion Pouches. It's a nicotine-free pouch. It's super cool. Ross, you said you ordered some things from Sweden for your own personal use back in the day to test and use it and to overcome. And now you have this brand and product. How cool is that, Ross? Talk to me. Where did this come from?
Yeah, I mean, this is so mimicking the nicotine pouch space that's kind of opening on that side. So, a smoking cessation product on the nicotine side to get people off cigarettes, vapes. I figured with that exploding, I mean, you can't walk into a single gas station or party store nowadays without seeing the Zyn or a competing brand coming to market. I figured, why not bring this to the THC space? I think the biggest thing to me in bringing a new product, specifically even in Michigan, like this is a specific Michigan thing, is we're a pretty crowded market. There's a lot of brands here, a lot of brands, and specifically in that edible category, there's a lot of brands that are just kind of doing the same thing, like iterations of the same thing. Another blue raspberry disc you got me, another this, another that. Like the last thing I wanted to do, I got this innovative blueberry.
Sorry, you were ready with that blue raspberry flavor. That one's been sitting in your heart for a little while.
It has been for a long time. So the last thing I wanted to do was just bring something that was a copy of something else. So I've been kind of scratching my brain for years trying to figure out what that looks like, and I kept coming up dry. But you mentioned the Sweden thing, so I will candidly say I'm a former tobacco user, and I've been using these pouches on the nicotine side for a number of years for that smoking cessation side. I enjoy nicotine. I wanted to get away from the tobacco side of things, though. So as that space has been building and just developing, it's something that I've had my brain kind of in for a number of years. I'd say like 7 or 8 years. That idea comes from the Swedish market. It's a Swedish product. It's something that they've been doing for a number of years.
Okay.
I've been ordering nicotine pouches from Sweden for, 6, 7, 8 years, just kind of like looking at the new brands that are coming around, some of the changes that they're making in their formulations, some of the pouch sizes that they're changing up. So I've got a pretty good handle, I guess I would say, on that.
Yeah, you've got a good feel for what's going on, and from at least the European innovation market.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of those things, Zyn was kind of the originator here, but as some of those European brands have come to market, they're bringing some of those European standards here, be that maybe it's like a moist pouch as opposed to a dry pouch, different pouch sizes, different pouch strengths. So my brain's been in that for like a number of years. So as I was scratching my brain about what's this new product, it was something that I kind of just dropped to the Doghouse guys. And lo and behold, one of the owners over there was like, this is something I've kind of been talking to some people over overseas about for a number of months. Actually, it was weird that I brought it to him, and he's like, I think this is a great idea. So something we snapped on. I think we've been kind of working on it for about a year and a half or two. And I think we really set some of our machines up here in Michigan in the last probably like 10 months. And
these are what, pouch manufacturing machines?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So my background, I was a caregiver here in Michigan, in the traditional market. While I was doing that, I come from the alcohol space. I worked in wine sales in the past, and I worked in craft beer sales. The machine, for the most part, is kind of some repurposed, like canning machinery from brewery.
So like, so it's like the little like the riverway of rollers, and things are sliding on it, and then click, 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 click.
Yep, very similar, like the way it's like packaged up. I guess on the production side, it is just like a machine that is, I mean, the easiest way to say it is it's dropping the filler material into the pouch, cinching both sides, and then releasing the pouch. Much more complicated.
Yeah, almost like it's like packaging meets canning.
Sure. Yeah, literally. Yeah. And I from my experience just in breweries in the past, there's a few pieces where I'm like, this is a canning piece. This is just repurposed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a machine at the very beginning of the line that's like your actual pouch production machine that closes the pouch, fills it, drops it down. And then there's some other pieces that move it around so it can get dropped into our tin. Then that tin can get labeled, and then that tin can be like shrink wrapped up into the sleeve to be packaged.
What are these pouches made of, Ross? What I don't know. I've done. Yeah. I never got into the dipping and that kind of stuff. It's funny because I grew up in Indiana and Texas and played baseball when I was young. But once I became an adult, and like I was in college, at least in Washington, it was only like the country kids stereotypically, and like the baseball guys that were all dipping out of cans. And I did go to a college town like that was in a country town, so it was like that was very common to see kids in class with the spit bottles, right? But I never tried it. You know, I remember the DARE program and them saying that thing about nicotine and these things. They said fiberglass was in it and it would rip your things apart, right? So in my head, I'm always like, what do these guys have in their mouth? Does it just taste good, or what are they like? Are they really? Is it really addictive? Like, okay, but now we think about cannabis ones and they're different. And you're talking to me as if it's like, is it cloth? Like, what are these?
It's a cellulose material, so it's like it's a biodegradable pouch, and it's made out of cellulose. What we really look for when we're making this is the softest pouch material possible. Your gums we were kind of talking about this beforehand. Yeah. Your gums are fragile. And I think that like a lot of people, when you think about like that dipping scene, right? When you heard that, I mean, it's kind of fear mongering, to be really honest with you. But
I mean, dude, I lived in Indiana. I remember that shit in 4th grade. You know what I mean?
Like, exactly. When you hear about like the fiberglass thing, it was scary to people because the thought of putting like a pouch material against that fragile, you know, mucus lining there, and then thinking about like the fear mongering about the fiberglass in the past, like it's kind of the last thing you'd like to be putting in your mouth. But I think something like
sharp and scratchy.
Yeah, I think public opinion, and I'm going to give it to the people in the nicotine space. I think they're doing a good job at like reintroducing people who would never have thought about doing this. Somebody who would have never put a tobacco pouch in the past. And on my side, I mean, that's from my sales team side, in talking to our partners who are running this, like there's a big education piece that comes to this, a massive education piece. Like you asked about the filament material, so that pouch material, there's people who are asking about what's inside of it, like what's the actual filler material, which I mean that gets a little bit into the weeds with some people, but being able to talk to them about, you know, there's no nicotine in this. We're in a dispensary right now, there can't be nicotine in here with your THC.
Scientifically there's nothing addictive in this per studies that's been done.
Yeah, but then just even the process of like getting people to understand how to use it is a really big thing. I mean, this is a brand new product. Nobody's really seen this before, right? And if you're not a Zen user, like what would you know? Like you wouldn't know about these pouches that you put in here. So we've got our team just kind of boots on the ground over here. Brute force, just education with the shops, about like the pouch material, what's inside of it, the effects and how to use it, how long you should keep it in, a lot of that. So, I mean, we're down for that. I come from, previously in rec, beginning of Michigan here, I worked with the Curaleaf and Select Oil group. So I had very expensive distillate carts here in Michigan that I guess another part of it was education piece. So most of the members of my sales team came from that team in the past too. I brought them over.
You guys knew everybody. People will take a meeting with Select. That's a fact.
We knew everybody. That was again, I worked in craft beer before I came into this, but like every single, as the rec program was fleshing out at the beginning of things here in Michigan, everybody would take a meeting with me at the beginning of this. So in gathering like my Rolodex of contacts, I mean, I think I'm a good salesperson, a great salesperson. So I think like I created some just like good, amazing, I guess I would say, relationships with people where if we bring them a new product and we're able to explain it and do kind of the same support things that we did in the past, they'll put it on the shelf. They'll put it on the shelf. They'll try.
I think that's super cool. Right, half the battle is just getting to the meeting, right? 75% of the sale. And numbers are all subjective, folks. And when people pull the statistics out of their ass, usually they're all bullshit. But I'm gonna sit here and be the first to sit here and say, like, yo, having sampled out 300 stores in California and another 90, maybe 100 in Washington, that's only 400. But I will sit here and say that we successfully sampled those out because we got a hold of them. We called them. I showed up. I showed up ready, even if they hadn't said yes yet, right? We came prepared. We didn't take no for an answer unless they were literally just not there or not able to do it. And then you build a relationship and you shoot your shot, right, Ross? You just got to build. Hey, I'm sorry for being pushy. I just got to shoot my shot. I flew in from Los Angeles to try to earn your business today.
Yeah. It's an ask. I mean, it's a big ask. When you're in a crowded market like Michigan is, and when you're in a very priced, aggressively priced market as Michigan too, I have a team of guys who are selling, flower that's at the very top end of things on the Doghouse side. And then candidly, these things aren't necessarily cheap. They're things that are a little bit more expensive. They're things that education piece comes with, but I've got the killers on my team that are able to actually get out there and get the customer to believe that, and even more than that, get the retailer to believe that, so they want to push it.
And it's not always meant for every store. Not every store, every product wins. I think that's one of the crucial things that ownership and leadership, and I'm happy that you're a partner in this project, because your experience outside of cannabis, in that brewery space, in the traditional world, not traditional cannabis, but like the regular world for everybody, non-weed. Man, that stuff proves these theories all the time. Everybody tries to recreate theories and new processes in cannabis, and it's like, yo, you got to drive to all these places the first 90 days. You have to call them and make sure it's respectful for you to show up in the first place, fit into their system, and go do 20 drops in 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is, hit 25 in a week, keep 30 in a week. And when you do that 4 weeks in a row, Ross, you just hit 120. But you guys in Michigan got 1,000 retailers, just like Oregon. Right?
True. That is true.
So it's like, can you even do it all in a month? No. It takes time and that consistency. And thankfully you have this team that you've created. I want to touch on some of the sales stuff. But I do, and I want to focus on some of these experiences, because I think you've got a unique experience compared to most of my guests. A lot of the guests are legacy. And that's fine. And I love that legacy experience. And you have legacy experience as well. You were doing things in that caregiver market, which still exists to this day. Legacy still exists to this day in Michigan, which is incredible, and everywhere around the country. But like a true format is there for you guys still. We'll touch on your experiences and how that translates. But I want to get back to these pouches, because I think about how helpful they can be for people out there currently suffering through addiction. There are not just people that deal with nicotine. People that deal with opiate addiction often use cigarettes to cope with their addictive withdrawing symptoms. And I know that from personal experiences and some of the unfortunate relationships, amazing relationships, amazing people, just unfortunate directions some of them took because of addiction. And thus turning to cigarettes was definitely a thing. And to have these kinds of alternative wellness products, Ross, it's just incredibly powerful. And so I want to know, what are the different SKUs that you have, dosing, flavors? If we could focus a little bit on the pouches specifically.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, currently we just have our full THC versions of these. There will be ratio ones that come along. We have 4 different flavors. Cool. We currently have a citrus, we have a tropical, we have a sweet mint, and we have a spearmint. There's going to be maybe some seasonal flavors that come around as the year goes on. Maybe some things that fit, like
hit me with one of those. Hit me with one of those like holiday apple cinnamons.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So cinnamon is one. I'll say that cinnamon's one that's going to be coming. So it's also something that we're looking at the nicotine space for. Like, what are the flavors that do well over there, and will that translate over into this?
Yep.
So each of them is here in Michigan. We're allowed to do 200 milligrams in a package. Yeah. So we have
that's per package, not per pouch.
Well, yeah, not per pouch. So I have a 200 milligram tin, and inside of that, there's 20 10 milligram pouches.
Nice.
So you can stack them. I mean, like if you're a lighter user, you could throw one in, and this is something that people do in the nicotine space too. If you wanted a little bit extra, you could throw two in. You could put one up here. You could put one up here. You could put three in if you really wanted to stack things up. It's kind of based on like, what's your dose, right? Is your dose?
What about the 5 milligrammers, man? I love to drink my weed and I like to eat edibles, but I have a candy addiction, as I was saying, with my dental issues. And I would like the ability to. What if I were doing this all day long and just a bunch of fives? Is that something that's been talked about in the future?
So I think what we find with this product, and so it's a sublingual product, right? Mm-hmm. Sublingual, and it's a nano emulsified product as well. What we find with this 10 milligram is that when we talk to people who are more lower dose or who are maybe looking for what you're talking about right there, I find this 10 hits a little bit smoother than a 10 that would be maybe digested by your stomach. I truly feel like this is maybe the first time where somebody's getting 10 milligrams of nano THC straight into their bloodstream, because it's up against this. It's up against your gum. It gets into the bloodstream really quickly. So I feel like what it feels like when you put one of these in is almost like you hit the joint maybe 2 or 3 times, and that's going to last for, I don't know, 60 to 90 minutes. And I think we're finding that people kind of want to session them. I'm finding that people who often say like 10 is too much for me really enjoy this. So I'm not sure about going.
10 is not too much for me, but because I'm smoking and dabbing and drinking weed, not right now, but generally speaking, right? Weed is in my life throughout the scenarios I would be using it.
Sure.
I just know that I tend to put 2 or 3 or 4 things in my mouth when it's in the candy edible form, but this is different. This is a timed session. So, and I don't use pouches. I've never been that kind of nicotine or pouch user historically. So this is just a different way to think about it. I guess I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate to understand the form factor / dosing elements. And for you to say 10 hits like 10 or 10 hits like what a real 10 should hit like because of the bloodstream impact, I think that's interesting as well, because I'm still mentally, my brain is wrapped around, it's in my mouth, through my body, kidney, liver, right? Like, and that's a different high.
I personally think so say you were to take like a 10 milligram nano gummy, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you're going to put it side by side with one of these 10 milligram pouches. I personally think that if you eat a nano gummy, that as it's supposed to start acting as it goes into your system, right? Kind of like down your system, even with drinks as well. I candidly think some of that D9, that nano D9 still makes it to your liver and does that conversion from D9 to D11 and can kind of like, enhance the experience a little bit, like too much for somebody who was expecting just nano D9. I think this is this version where you're getting actual nano D9, which should go in and out of your bloodstream a little bit quicker than D11, and also not be as, I don't know the right word to use, not as potent as D11. D11 can be a lot
strong, powerful.
Yeah. So I think it gets in and out of your system, and we find people like sessioning them a little bit. I think we call them like a session pouch right now.
Do people do it for 20 minutes and put it away and put it back? Is that a thing with pouches?
That's something it's part of like our education piece. People do that on the nicotine side, and I think we're finding that people are doing this on this as well. It's almost like you can predict it. So it's like you can put it in, and as you're feeling the effects come on, if you want to take it out, you can take it out. If you want to leave it in and get the full 10, you can do that. People are doing that. That's something that we're telling people is like, if you want to like dose yourself a little bit, it can be a little bit more predictable than other edibles as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
And 2 flavors of mint and 2 fruity flavors, both on the citrus side. 1 citrus, 1 tropical.
Yep.
Spearmint, and then what was the word you used for the other mint?
Sweet mint. It's like kind of like a peppermint, like a sweet peppermint.
How cool is that? Why did you go with those flavors? Was it mainly data from the nicotine space?
It really is. It really is. Like those are some of, I think citrus peppermint and cinnamon are the best selling flavors on the nicotine side in the United States right now. So we tried to mimic that. I think that there's some, we're trying to get a little bit more esoteric with the flavors, maybe some like tropical stuff, some more like exotic things that we're going to bring into it too.
Yeah, that like that lychee berry in the vape world did crazy, right? Like stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that. And then like past that, ratio pouches. So like the addition of caffeine, the addition, I think you had mentioned like CBN, maybe making like a
for me, and I'll give you this game, Ross, because I don't know how often you're, you know, with that kind of product, I would assume we're doing some R&D consistently and using it, you know what I mean? And especially since you are a user historically of an item like that, it sounds like you're probably a lifestyle user of it now.
Yeah. I'm the test subject. If they make a new,
you have one in right now. I can't tell because the beard.
I don't. No, I don't. Okay. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I normally have one in, and if you would have asked me, I figured it wouldn't be appropriate talking to you like this, but I normally do have one in.
Hey, anytime with me it would, but I'm glad we had that moment because there is that culture where some people know it's not appropriate to have it in all the time, 100%. And then there's those people that don't even realize it, right?
100%.
They're gone in the wind with it already, brother. You know, I'm here for it though. I can say, hey, if you guys know me, man, I grew up in Indiana and Texas. If y'all know anything about Indiana and Texas, there's a lot of country motherfuckers in Indiana and Texas. And I grew up around kids and teenagers dipping, and that's a fact. Not in Seattle. Didn't have any of that in South Seattle, Kent, Washington, Renton, Washington. Didn't see any of that. Maybe in Tahoma, Kentwood, but not in Kent Ridge and where I live. That wasn't. It was too much of the city like suburbs world. It wasn't like that.
We have a mix of here in Michigan too. I don't know if you've been to Michigan, but like
I have. I've actually been there a few times. I love it out there, man.
Yeah, well, Detroit's metropolitan and like some other areas are metropolitan. There's a big area in the middle of
I've been up there to Kalkaska, man. Yeah. I've been to New Buffalo. We've been to Detroit in the house, man. Like I've been to a lot of really great places out there and great products, great strains, great manufacturers, great pricing, a lot of dispensaries. A lot of great deals. I loved going to a caregiver place. I loved going to a rec spot. It was super dope. Big shout out to Kashava Craft. Big shout out to Road Trip. Big shout out to just all of Michigan, man. I'm a Infinite Cal for again powering the episode, just putting it on for Michigan. That entire community. I love it out there. It ain't perfect. It ain't got to be perfect. But what I didn't know was that Michigan is very similar to Oregon and Washington in terms of lifestyle. It's got its metropolitan, like you were saying. Yeah. It's got its industry and industrial areas like Lansing and some of these other areas. And then also you get up in that mitten, you get up in that upstate, you know what I'm saying? And the upper Michigan and the UP.
Yeah.
And it looks just like where I grew up, Ross. There's salmon and evergreen trees and rivers, and everyone's kind of in Carhartt and camo, like what you got on, kind of thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it just really took me back to certain parts of Washington because I grew up camping and adventuring and fishing and river fishing and ocean fishing and all that stuff. And it was really cool to be up there.
The product fits into all those things you're saying right there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, we want to be able to have this thing that you can use while you're snowboarding, while you're mountain biking. Like,
what's up with the sustainability aspect of that? You said it's made of cellulose, not something that is. Does that deteriorate into earth cleaner
than biodegradable? Yeah, it's completely biodegradable.
Thank you. That's the word, biodegradable. I lost that.
Completely biodegradable. So I mean, like something that's as these nicotine pouches are becoming more on the nicotine side are becoming more prevalent. I've noticed that I'm seeing a lot of waste on the ground. So like that was one thing that was really important to us was like, I would hope that when people are using these, when they're done, they would throw them in the trash. However, people do what people do. And I want to make sure if they're going to throw them on the ground that they're at least going to go somewhere. Right.
That's cool. And okay, so now let's go back to that filler material layer on the pouches. We've talked about flavors. We've brought some clarity to the why on the flavors and the cellulose aspect, the science aspect, because I was wondering, again, the tearing and that fear mongering from back in the day, right? So it just really brings a lot of clarity, a lot of these points that you've talked about so far. But I'm interested in what's inside because it's like I think about them taking the tobacco dip and pinching it. And what I did as a kid is that Big League Chew bubble gum?
Yep.
So like in my head, I'm thinking, did we just got shredded up weed stuff in these? So I know that cloud of mystery for me, I'm interested. So what is in these pouches, Ross?
So I mean, I can't give away all the secrets, but I think one thing that I could say is everything that's in there is all natural. So I mean, like when we were talking about, there's a sweetness that has to come to this. I didn't want to use sugar inside of that. I don't want sugar sitting up against people's teeth and up against people's gums. So it's sweetened with xylitol. The nano emulsification that we made is sitting on like a carrier. It's an all natural carrier that's in there. That's one of those things I can't necessarily tell you exactly what that's is, fine. But it's a carrier that's completely safe for human consumption, 0 calories, all natural, vegan. I wanted everything to be in there to be good for you. I don't want anything to be, again, like the sugar aspect of the things or anything that would be harmful to your gums. So it's a nano emulsification that's sitting on this carrier, and that carrier, as you're getting it wet in your mouth, will dissolve. So eventually, like you put the pouch in, it's going to be a little bit plump. And as you get it wet and as that carrier goes away and that THC is absorbed into your gum, eventually there's almost nothing left in the pouch.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I've always felt like the gum they give you, the xylitol gum that the dentist used to give us, back in the day, like I always felt like that gum kind of like dissolved and got a little thin and stringy. Sure. And I always assumed when I was younger that was obviously made much differently than the other types of gum in there. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like, okay, cool. These guys must be just using some stuff, as you're saying, it just kind of like, away.
You want it to get away, and you want to like, I mean, that's almost when we're talking to people about how to use these, is they're like, when do I know it's done? And it's like, well, when you notice that most of the stuff that was inside of it is gone, that's when you're going to notice that it's gone, that it's done.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now we did have a question over here. It says limits. How many of these are we allowed to buy in Michigan at once? I think that's a good question. Is just like, all right, I'm a daily user. It's good for sessions. It's sessionable. That's a drinking quote, right? I know that in beverage land.
Yep.
There's 20 of them.
Yeah.
How long does that last for you as like someone who smokes and maybe dabs and is like your top tier cannabis user?
I'm a heavy consumer. I smoke a lot of weed, and when it comes to like edibles, it takes a lot for me. I think it's like stomach type things for me. So like the way I use these, and I would say I could probably rip through a good 6 or 7 of them in a day. I'll be really honest with you. The way I kind of use them is I do them in between my smoking sessions. So like when I'm smoking and then I want to kind of like feel like I'm prolonging that original smoking high, I'll throw them in then afterward and kind of session them. I mean, there's even been times where I put a nicotine pouch in on top of the cushion for like a little bit of an oral spliff.
Hey, did you just create a whole new spliff world?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. What? So I can't, I don't feel like I can necessarily like promote that out there, but I mean, it is a thing. It's people like spliffs, people like the
I have yet to hear any legal verbiage in any of the states. I'm not the expert though, folks. I've never heard legal verbiage that says you can't do that. It's only ever been smoking, and it's not even ever about smoking it. It's just about the manufacturing of tobacco products with weed. That's a no-no. And that umbrella kind of makes it sure that people don't do that in theory, but in reality, we got all the blunt smokers in the world ever, right? More than ever before, it seems like.
Exactly. So I'm finding that, I mean, cool. I think it's really cool. And I think it's cool to like when we throw that at people and they try it and they come back to us and kind of tell us what they felt from it. It's interesting. So yeah, I mean, I'm a heavier consumer, but I'm finding like, I would say one of my partners here, I mean, they're a lighter consumer. They might be doing 3 of them in a day. But I mean, as far as like how many you can buy at the stores, it follows the same exact edible limits that any other edible would be inside of Michigan. So you can stock up if you were coming into state. It's per transaction here in Michigan. That's another thing.
Oh, so yeah, so you can go to a couple of different stores and be able to buy the amounts that you want or max it out if you would.
Exactly.
Super cool. We just ended a year. What were some of your highlights from 2025?
Ooh, so
top two highlights. What's some cool? This is not the time to be modest. What happened? What's some cool shit?
No, I mean, like cushion related. Is
yes.
That what you're saying?
Yes.
So I mean, the launch of Cushion 2025, like just getting Cushion off the ground was a big thing. I mean, that was something that we were pushing the launch back just to make sure we got it right. I didn't want to launch it. I wanted to launch it right. So it ended up leading into kind of the end of the year for a launch for us. So, I mean, the product's been in the market since I think the middle of November, end of November. So it's relatively new. It's relatively new, but I would say inside of that, I think we have it in just under 200 stores right now. So I think like getting it into as many stores as we were able, myself and the sales team were able to get it into really quickly, and just the reception of it right off the bat. I mean, we walked in and we talked to a bunch of people and they were just like, how could I say no to this? You know what I mean? It doesn't exist.
It's it's one of one, correct, in terms of Michigan's market?
There's one other in Michigan, but I would say they launched a number of months ago and didn't do quite the marketing push, the education push that we did. So I know that we're in significantly more stores and have had many more reorders. So there's one other competitor. I mean, I'll be honest with you. At
this particular stage, it's like they exist, but you guys are building the category right now.
We're building the category and we're expanding it outside of Michigan. Like I said, like this is where we're at right now. But in the next handful of months, you're going to see this pop up in a few other states as well.
And folks, this is where we get to just a brief minute or two section, if you could, Ross, about Doghouse, the overall company in the states that premium cannabis is in, and how this is actually a part of the Doghouse portfolio. If you wouldn't mind, just
So I mean, this is we operate here. We're Doghouse, Michigan. So we have a processing license up here that we send all of our Doghouse finished goods to do packaging. And in that building is where we're producing the cushion pouches and we're shipping them out alongside Doghouse. So most of the Doghouse partners here in Michigan are running the cushions alongside Doghouse.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And Ross, where can people reach out if they would like to set up a sample drop or an order?
It would be to me. I mean, I can provide my email. It's really like the first letter of my first name, R Blackley @doghouse420.com.
Easy.
If there's an email, I'm in my email. I respond to stuff within 24 hours, every single message. So I'll see it if it comes through.
Beautiful. I appreciate you making yourself available. And thank you again for being a guest on today's show. It was very interesting to learn so much and so quickly about these cushion pouches, and to also get caught up to speed with you and your experience. Circling back to what I was saying earlier, I normally will ask about like, what's your message to the world, but we're gonna dial this one in to circle back to a question earlier about how your previous experiences outside of cannabis directly apply to your success here currently in cannabis. So the message to the world today: how your regular corporate America, systematic America, have to get a job and work your way up at beer breweries and go visit accounts and all that. How did working in alcohol and what you've done outside of cannabis directly affect and impact your success in cannabis?
I worked for a brewery called Bell's Brewery, largest independent brewery, craft brewery in the United States. And I learned from them, and it's something that I think I'm going to take into any role that I'm ever in, is that if you lead with quality and you lead with honesty, you're going to win. That's it. If you lead with quality and that's your focus and you're honest in the way that you're doing things, you will win. It might take you some time, but if you just kind of put your head down and you lead with those two things, you're going to win.
Wise words of advice from someone who worked with, again, the largest independent craft brewery in America, as well as one of the most respected cannabis companies in the Pacific Northwest, and highly respected and continuing to grow across Michigan, Doghouse 420. And now the recently launched, last year launched, cushion pouches. If anybody has any questions, again, reach out to Ross. He provided his email earlier. You can always hit me up as well, Joey at respectmyregion.com. I'll get you connected directly here to Ross. For those of you that enjoyed the episode, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Ross, what's the website and what's your guys' Instagram for y'all?
We have two, but it's at Doghouse MI and at Doghouse MICH. So our backup.
Cool. Simple enough. I appreciate you again for joining today, Ross. And thank you to our sponsor, Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs, aka Infinite Cal, for not only being our testing partner and providing the support for us to be able to be a platform for these businesses and brands to create awareness for you customers and for the brands as well, but also too for providing a consumer safety program and offering free R&D for our guests. We want our guests to have accurate dosing, and that is why Ross and I connected to help create awareness for a product that might be a great alternative wellness item for you guys. So thank you.